All right, Shane, so we're talking about your kitchen written assignment, and we're going to start with the reflective statement, and then we'll talk about the essay, and then I'll show you the scores that I think it would get if you sent it to IB right now.
Okay.
So with the reflective statement, we touch on two things, primarily the prevalence of death in Japanese society during this time, and the rise of feminism, or women in the workplace specifically, right? And what I'd like to see more of, I'd like to see some more details, excuse me, from the interactive world. I know you took good notes. I think you presented too.
Yeah.
So, the interactive world is meant to be more about the reflection is meant to be more about the interactive oral than it is about the book.
Okay.
I mean, obviously we're talking about why it's connected to the book and why that's important, but primarily we want the details of what you learned about Japanese culture and about maybe Banana Yoshimoto. Okay.
Yeah, because most of the stuff that I have in here, all like the fact kind of stuff, like in the 1980s Japan thing.
Right.
That was from the interactive oral. So
Right.
should I?
We want more of that. We
Okay.
want less of this stuff in yellow.
Okay.
Okay? I mean, we really don't need to be talking so much about kitchen. At the very beginning, the book, it is stated the main character, Mikagi, has lost almost all her family about her grandmother. Have any others read about? No.
Yeah.
Tell us, in the interactive oral, we learned that, funeral rites are very important, and this and that, and funeral, whatever.
Okay.
Check your notes again.
All
But
right.
we want probably 3 or 4 points that you maybe learned rather than 2, and we don't want as much summary
Okay.
of the book. Okay, that's what I'm trying to say.
All right.
Cool. All right, on to your essay. This is tricky. You've really tried to do a solid analysis. I see that.
Mhm.
You've really picked apart the some of the quotes that you've used, and that's good.
Yeah.
At the same time, it feels like you're kind of forcing the connection.
Okay.
Like trying to say, we go from the ocean to the shower,
Yeah.
and it's the big water to the little water.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, and it's not that that's not creative,
Mhm.
and I'm not even saying that it's not insightful. It just seems forced. It
Okay.
doesn't seem like that's... And I don't have an answer. I just think that if we could somehow you could expand your topic and just use the PDF and do a word search for water,
Okay.
flowing, ocean, river. Try and find as many of those examples as you could,
Okay.
and see if there's not a connection maybe between the literal ocean that she's walking by that night, which I think
Mhm.
is very important and significant and symbolic,
Yeah.
right? And then maybe how Yoshimoto uses water and water imagery to show confusion, cleansing,
Mhm.
absolution is the word that comes out of the more Christian context of like being cleansed
Yeah.
of guilt and stuff. Maybe again, I'm not trying to make it too religious
Yeah.
in terminology, but obviously there's lots of birth and death and rebirth and kinds
Yeah.
of spiritual ideas in the story, right?
Yeah.
So that's my best suggestion, is to
Okay.
broaden the topic a little more, so that this is one of the very rare instances where this is too focused.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
I never say that, but
Okay.
you've squeezed the toothpaste tube
Yeah.
all the way to the end
Okay.
on this one. Thank
How
you.
many words was I aiming for?
About 500.
I got about 450.
Awesome. So that would be step one
Okay, so
in
go.
terms of kind of broadening it. But the key scene and the real focus is to analyze that beach scene
Mm-hmm.
a little more. And instead of trying to be super specific with the details, which you've already done,
Mm-hmm.
which is good, now take a few steps back and see if you can maybe how that's functioning within the bigger
The whole book
the
instead
the
of just
novel.
that.
Yeah, right. You say with herself that she finally confessed her true feelings.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe go into that more.
Okay.
Because this is kind of a longer. What you don't have is that she says essentially right before this, there will be so much pleasure, so much suffering, with or without Yuichi.
Yeah.
That's for many of us. That's like one of those like, ooh, that's so cold.
Yeah.
But it is. It's honest,
Mm-hmm.
and it is from that position of honesty, openness, stability, acceptance, whatever you want to call it, that she is probably able to have this relationship,
Yeah.
you know? But these are things that you can pull out.
Okay. So.
In a, you know, you can look at, like I said, use this scene and the ocean, and then look for other examples of water and see how,
Use more of the ocean, the final ocean scene to make connections throughout the book to the other parts. Okay.
I think
Yeah.
that could be helpful,
Okay.
rather than trying to connect it too much to the shower
Yeah.
and the steam in the room.
Okay. Alright, so I should basically not totally change it, but like
I
Go
would
through it
I
pretty
wouldn't
hard.
scrap it, but I would say
go through it pretty
yeah,
hard.
go through it pretty hard.
Alright.
Okay. All
Yeah.
right. So, as it stands, the reflective statement's probably the easiest thing to boost
Yeah.
by putting in details and taking out kitchen summary.
Okay.
This score is low, but that's only because it's primarily a summary of what's going on in that scene.
Okay.
Okay, this will come up as your development of this idea
Yeah.
of the ocean scene and how she's using water. Both your development, organization, and your appreciation of author's choices will rise, and that will automatically bring up this knowledge and understanding. Okay?
Okay. I get you.
Okay, cool. Now, any questions about this? Right now?
Just that, like, so not so much looking at more of the beach scene than the hotel room scene,
Yeah, I think so.
because that's where I'm feeling that I got way too focused on the difference between where she was on the beach and where she was in her room instead of looking at the broader
Right,
thing.
right.
So use the beach scene more.
To highlight, and I think in some ways the fact that she is warm and happy in the room is a result of her having been out on that cold, dark beach.
Yeah.
And it's almost this extended metaphor of her experience with despair
Yeah.
and joy, right?
Yeah.
You don't know how delicious and awesome it is to be warm and snug in your room
Until
until
you're
you've been out on a
super cold.
freezing cold beach and your nose is running. You know?
Alright, so use that more of like showing the transition between all these uses throughout the book of like the water being despair and like normally coldness and like then finally once she is at this final spot and realizing all of this stuff, she goes back to her room and she can finally appreciate the warm feeling. Kind of. but not focused on that final result. Focus on the
Well, and even, I mean, and it might not be that water is always bad.
yeah.
I don't know. I don't have that photographic a memory of it. And you know, I mean, shoot, just focus on the beach scene,
Yeah.
and then take it. Let that be the focus. Forget water.
Okay.
Let it be the beach scene. Let that be let it be that extended metaphor. Extended metaphor, Shane. Extended metaphor.
Okay.
Beach scene is despair. Hotel room, joy.
Okay.
Do it.
All right.
All right, cool.
Thank you, Mr. Murray.
Welcome. All right, let me stop this thing.